As Megan Davis can certainly attest to, and Hank Loeb, both of whom I went to undergraduate college with back at the Florida Institute of Technology in Shinson Beach, about 10 years ago, or maybe a couple of tens. The thought that I would have a dean of an academic institution say such nice things about me was beyond belief. I have no idea how this has happened, but I thank you for the very kind words, Jackie. So, it's really great to see so many familiar faces here as well as a lot of new faces. As we're going to talk about a very important topic, a little bit different from the themes we've done before, and we're going to talk about partnerships and partnering, which I think is especially important right now, and we will certainly get into that throughout the agenda today. We are shaking up the format. We responded to some of our participants, to folks in the legislative side, folks in the executive side of our government, and really get to something that is, again, of keen importance right now. We're going to go away from a lot of death by PowerPoint. I think this is the only slide that you're going to see today. And we're going to lecture-style panels, sort of fireside discussions, and you're part of those discussions, so I encourage you to please participate. That's the important thing. We want more time for questions and answers. We're going to give it to you. And I think that's important because that's how we can take away some great ideas and initiatives and opinions to move forward with. However, we're not losing some of the best parts of our public policy forum. We have many members of Congress coming to speak, as you've seen in the agenda, people who care about the ocean. We have Capitol Hill's slowest elevator, still, even though it was just replaced during this past year, I was told. We have a wonderful lunch, as usual, with time to connect and network with a lot of people. And then we have our congressional reception tonight to cap it off, which we're doing in partnership with the Sea Grant Association Canals Fellows reception over in the Rayburn building. So a great opportunity, and I know a lot of the Canals Fellows are here, and this is a great time for you to get to know a lot of the leaders of the ocean science world, both governmental and academic and industrial, who are here. So, you know, I think this is just a wonderful opportunity and a sort of a partnership effort that we've not done before. Since it's going to be a lot of discussion here, you will notice there are microphones in these two aisles. I ask you to please use them because, as was mentioned by Jackie, we do have a video archive. We want to keep a video archive, but the only way that it is an audio-video archive is if you use a microphone. So please do that, line up. I know, you know, the seats are always tight in here, but please get to a microphone so that we can hear you. And when you talk, even if you've identified yourself before, because if you know you're watching something in the future, please identify yourself and where you're from. By the way, I'm John White from the Consortium for Ocean Leadership again. All right, so why partnerships? Why are we talking about partnerships? First of all, I want to say, why am I wearing this tie and what is on this tie, for those of you who can't see? There is a sextant, an astrolabe, a couple of star maps, star charts. These are used for what? Navigation. What do we navigate? Ships. Big gray ships, ocean research ships, lots of ships. But the most important ships that we have, I suggest, in this day and age are partnerships. And we're going to talk today about navigating partnerships. So when you're tired of listening to me or anybody else, or what's this all about, or if you ever see me wear this tie again, or if you ever see a sextant or a star chart, I want you to think about partnerships, not the haze gray ships or the white ships, because partnerships are key to the future of our ocean and our nation and our world. So the second thing that I want to say is there's so many challenges with our workforce, with our research spending, that we figured this is a great way to focus on an issue which is important to all that. I also want to remind you of this picture. It's the apotheosis in the rotunda of our Capitol. The painting was designed back 150 plus years ago. And if you take a look at that, a lot of people don't even know what's on that painting, although many staffers walk back and forth under it all the time. There are, in the center, is George Washington, and he is surrounded by the two goddesses of liberty and victory and the representatives of the original 13 colonies. The 6 figures on the outside, however, they represent Marine with Neptune up in, the 10 o'clock position there, moved down to the 8 o'clock position, and that's science with Ben Franklin. On the bottom at 6 o'clock is defense or security. And you come up and there's agriculture and industry or technology and commerce at the 12 o'clock position. 6 of the foundational principles of our nation. The founding of our nation understood that marine and maritime and science, marine science, that's 1/3 of that painting, were critically important to the future of our nation and needed to be maintained. You'll also notice, and if you look at the painting, you can see several others with smoke from a locomotive, but notice that there is, there's a rainbow that goes in one, it comes down on the agriculture side over there, if you look closely. The interrelationships, the partnerships within these concepts was recognized as being critically important in why our government was established along the line of departments and secretaries who interrelate in various activities. So the thought of partnerships in marine science, for example, goes back a long time, needless to say. Think about that when you walk through the Capitol. Another thing I wanted to point out is I'm going to read you a quote. That ocean responsibilities are dispersed among a confusing array of agencies at the federal, state, and local levels. Managers, decision makers, and the public cry out for improved and timely access to reliable data and solid scientific information that have been translated into useful results and products. I suggest that is true today, but that was actually in the testimony of Admiral James Watkins back in 2004 when he had to testify about the U.S. Ocean Commission report. So where are we today? The Federal Ocean and Coastal Activities Report, which came out in 2016, had lots of great facts in that the government's marine programs, bureaus, offices, initiatives, and projects are spread across 15 different federal agencies, 27 different federal entities that addressed ocean and coastal topics very broadly at the senior level. 13 different agencies comprise the government's research on global change and its impacts. And more specifically, 12 federal agencies joined 10 states and territories, commonwealths, addressing coral reef issues, coral reef task forces and such. Ocean observations across 12 agencies and 19 bureaus, coastal mapping, 6 agencies, 10 bureaus, and you think of STEM education, which it's the foundation of why most of us are here, even some of us who went to college a long time ago. That, if we're going from pre-K all the way up through 12, then undergraduate, graduate, there are 16 federal entities involved in STEM education efforts and initiatives. Looking outside the government, we have 600 plus U.S. businesses are engaged in ocean measurement, observation, and forecasting. That's just a piece of the blue economy. 400 post-secondary institutions offering certificates, bachelor, graduate degrees in ocean science, technology, and related programs. And according to the IRS taxes, 45,000 nonprofits focused on ocean and coastal activities were active between 2012 and 2015. Only half of those 45,000 are between here and 25th Avenue and here and M Street, that rectangle, by the way. Several of you are from them, like us. With all these different bureaus, agencies, and organizations, think about the power we have if we can really work together. Not saying that we're not, but work better together. The power of partnerships, I think, really offers us an opportunity that is unique in our time and our world right now, with the growth of technology and knowledge and data and information and how much that we use it on a daily basis. And I truly believe that, just like the mathematic principle, that the integration of functions of these agencies is much greater than the sum of its parts. So, it's not just about cost, it's really about, it's about the overall effect. But cost is important, and we will get into that. If you take a look at high performance partnerships, as described by the National Academy of Public Administration, it talks about the high performance partnerships do achieve that. They reach a goal that is greater if you could sum up those agencies. Things like if you were to get aquaculture facilities and working in partnership with each other across the landscape, perhaps you could have 15 new facilities instead of 10. But it's not easy. We know that it's hard to form partnerships. I know personally it's hard to form partnerships and share resources and these type of things. There are regulations, requirements, bylaws, and whatnot that make it really, really hard. And a great example that I can give you is looking at the Joint Strike Fighter. How hard could it be to design an airplane that lands on an aircraft carrier as well as a runway next to a golf course at an Air Force base? Well, just Google it. Okay, that's all I got to say. Not that it's not a great product in the end, but it was really hard to get that thing on. But the importance of doing this cannot be underestimated and underscored, cannot be underemphasized. So, we're also talking, of course, about not just about partnerships, but how they advance ocean science and technology. When we take a look at that, we've been focused on a platform of ocean security at COL, and this is taking a look at all the types of security with global security, planetary security, it's national security, homeland security, food security, water security, economic security, human health. How does the ocean play a critical role in that? I don't need to tell the majority of folks in this room that, but it is really understanding that bring a partnership together to emphasize the importance of the ocean science and technology toward our lives today and tomorrow, from the coastlines to the Great Lakes as well. In order to do that, we have to invest in ocean science. Ocean science, right there. That investment, keeping that healthy and going forward, that is in the best interest of us, and we know how important that is to our nation and to our planet. So we need to enhance our ability to observe, monitor, and predict our changing ocean, to improve access to the ocean, and that partnerships must play an increasing role. So we're going to open today with talking about interagency partnerships and a way to get rid of some of the overlapping and bureaucratic barriers that may exist. The Government Accountability Office reports that the past 3 years, more than 80 areas existed within the executive branch or Congress that could use some efforts to reduce fragmentation, overlap, and duplication. The Government Accountability Office has done 3 reports on interagency partnerships, and that resulted in the implementation of the Government Performance Act of 1993, which was designed to improve these things. Since then, progress has been made, but the GAO still says that in 2014, it continues to be evident that the need for collaboration is not sufficiently widespread. Thus, we have collaborative opportunities like this. Doesn't mean that they don't happen at all, but they don't happen enough. So that's why we're here today, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to have a roundtable where you'll hear from some experts on this and leading their types of partnerships in various sort of venues. And then we're going to have a case study where we're going to dive into the Subcommittee on Ocean Science and Technology, the SOST, which is where it is an ongoing interagency entity that has had success, and it talks about the federal coordination on ocean science and technology, what works, what doesn't work, how can we do that, and it's great to learn more about that. In the afternoon, we're going to turn to public-private partnerships, or P3 for short. It's not an aircraft, for those of you who know about the P3C Orion, but it's P3. It's the real P3. The agreements between public and private entities is critically important, as we all know, and becoming more and more emphasized within private industry, the need to do this, to have means to do this quickly, flexibly, and look at ways to integrate private technology with public technology. In a recent op-ed that was focused on P3 in our nation's infrastructure, it said that P3s are woefully underutilized in the U.S., and much of the reason is self-inflicted. I'd like to explore that. We need changes in how public-private projects are conceived. Federal agencies need the authority to negotiate partnerships. Revenue sources must be identified, and the approval process is streamlined and accelerated. The International P3 Knowledge Lab, which is made up of the World Bank and other international bank organizations, says you need a more formalized framework that has the government's commitment while promoting accountability and transparency. That gets to the bureaucracy of accountability, but transparency and flexibility, this sort of thing that we have to balance here, in my opinion. So even in the U.S., we have a nonprofit, the National Council for Public-Private Partnerships, which describes keys to success, needing a public sector champion, a statutory environment legislatively that supports these type of partnerships and enables flexibility and acceleration, clearly identified revenue streams, stakeholder support, and picking your partner carefully. Sounds like a dating handbook, but anyway. But my point in talking about all these is to get your juices flowing. What are the key, what are the questions that you have? What have you seen? What have you not seen? What frustrates you? What great ideas? Because this is where we can hopefully achieve some success and some gains going forward. And then after we talk about that with a roundtable this afternoon, we're going to dive into some public-private partnerships and involve the field of aquaculture, how that works, how it could be better, and what we can do going forward. And we have some great folks here to talk about that. So as we do this, I want to channel Admiral Watkins again and just say that we need oceans, coasts, and Great Lakes that are clean, safe, and prosperous and sustainably managed. They need to contribute significantly to the economy, supporting multiple beneficial uses such as food production, development of energy and mineral resources, recreation and tourism, transportation of goods and people and information, and the discovery of novel medicines, while preserving a high level of biodiversity and a wide range of critical natural habitats. It's not a new concept. That's what our ocean should be, and that's what we have to work in partnership to do this. And he knew also that the only way to do that was to have these partnerships. Some of the constructs put in place is from the U.S. Ocean Commission report we're going to be talking about today. But if this forum today can bring us just a few more nautical miles forward in growing partnerships within the U.S. and outside of the U.S. internationally as well, just a few nautical miles, then I suggest it will have been time very well spent here today. So the goal is to, again, understand how, where, and why we can achieve new and improved partnerships. By the end of the day, our moderators throughout the leadership roundtables and case studies will come up and distill, hopefully, out of the questions and discussions, we're going to put them on the spot, of course, 3 to 5 actionable recommendations that we can move forward on and discuss those. We are pleased to be supported by some incredible institutions that are just as vested in these areas as I am and we are. I want to thank the National Estuarine Research Reserve Association, the Perseformance Group, the University of Southern Mississippi's Thad Cochran Marine Aquaculture Center, and we have several other partners that also have worked hard in putting this event together. I also want to mention up front, and I will again, the staff of the Consortium for Ocean Leadership, and led by Casey Cerveny. Thank you very much for the great effort to put this whole event together. I'll say hold your applause till the end so you can see if it's going to be worth it or not. But I will tell you, our staff with Casey and Allie and Jason and Stacy and Penny and the folks around that I'm not going to mention, thank you very much for your efforts up front, because it wouldn't happen without you. So without further ado, I am now going to turn it over to the experts. And first up, and there's not going to be a lot of introductions from me because we want to focus time on the actual meat of this forum, which is the discussion and the back and forth exchanges. But we'll start off with Dr. Monty Graham. He is on our Board of Trustees and the head of our Public Policy Committee, and he is the director of the School of Ocean Science and Technology at the University of Southern Mississippi. So, Monty, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.